friends? Welcome back to my channel, Patronosaurus Reads. I'm Katie, aka Patronosaurus, and I read. Today I'm coming at you with my June wrap-up. I know it's super late. I kind of forgot to film it at the end of June, and then I went on vacation at the beginning of July. So now here I am. Let's just get into it. Let's start with the bottom and work our way up. So I read 3 2-star books, the first of which was Misadventures with a Book Boyfriend by Victoria Blue. This is a book in an anthology series of like smutty novels written by a ton of different authors. And I read another book in this series that I'll mention a little bit later that I liked a lot. And then I read this one and I was like, oh, that's not as good. So this book was about this guy named Oliver. He was a model, and his modeling career starts to kind of go downhill. He's just getting less jobs, and so he starts a business where he will go on dates with women, but like role-playing essentially as like the swoony main character of whatever romance novel that woman chooses. And I thought like that sounded like some fun shenanigans, but I didn't like Oliver. I didn't like his love interest. His roommate slash best friend, didn't care about her. Like, I didn't care about any of the characters at all. The writing was mediocre. The story was mediocre. It just was not a super fun time for me. My next 2-star read was Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Aldous? I don't know how to say his name. Huxley. It's the classic dystopian book. I listened to the audiobook, narrated by Michael York. He's awesome. He did a great job. But the story just wasn't for me. It was very science-based, and I'm not a scientific person, so it all just like went over my head. I don't know. To me, it was just boring, mostly because I don't like that many classics. I should have known. 2 stars. Not great. My last 2-star book was And the Trees Crept In by Dawn Kurtagich. This is a horror novel. I feel like somewhat well known on BookTube, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's about this girl who lives in this house in the woods, and slowly the trees start coming closer and closer to the house. I really loved the concept. I don't read horror a lot because I'm a scaredy cat, but when I want to, I really, really want to, and I really want to be scared. And I just didn't like this book. I didn't love the writing. The ending of the book was not good. If you want spoilers for that, tons of people have talked about it on Goodreads, so if you just go to the Goodreads page for And the Trees Crept In and look at basically any review, someone will be talking about it. I don't even remember if I did. I feel like I mentioned under a spoiler tag the ending and how much I hated it. But that is the general consensus for most people, is that the ending was really bad. I listened to the audiobook, which is like a full production, but it has a lot of sound effects and distortions of the voice actor's voice to really like zoom in on the creep factor. I thought that was really well done. Like the production quality of the audiobook was super good. The book just was not for me. So 2 stars. Okay, moving on to my 3-star reads. I had 4 of those. The first is Super Fun Sexy Times by Meredith McLaren. A lot of you might recognize that because a lot of people got ARCs at Book Expo. But it was available on NetGalley, and I don't even think I had to request it. It was just available to read now. So I did. I just read it and downloaded it on my computer and read it. It's a smutty comic book about superheroes who have some super fun sexy times. The art style was not my favorite. Like, it just wasn't to my personal taste. And it was sort of almost like an anthology. Like, each chapter, I guess, was like different people. So you didn't get to really know the characters that well. It was a really interesting look at a superhero's life, and it was super diverse, which I loved, but I wish that each story had been a few pages longer just to get a little bit more in depth with the characters. It was fine. 3 stars. My next 3-star read was Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. Not that this is Neil's fault. I think it's the Norse myths' fault, because they're all so weird. Like, Norse mythology is really weird. Like, was there ever a time? Like, just so many things happen, and I'm like, was there ever a time in human society where human beings would realistically think that anyone, even a god, would do, like, all these weird things? Like, it's so weird. So I think I just don't like Norse mythology, the mythology. The writing of the book was fine. I listened to the audiobook, which Neil Gaiman narrates, and that was awesome. I love his voice. And you can tell that he's so passionate about it. He introduced it and talked about how much he loved Norse mythology. And his reading and his delivery of the myths was really good. I just don't think I like the source material that much. So 3 stars goes to Norse mythology. My next 3-star read was Certain Requirements by Eleanor Zimmerman. This is another romancy, smutty book about this girl who is living with her best friend, but he is going to move across the country with his boyfriend, and she cannot afford rent by herself. And through some means, she meets a woman who is looking for a live-in submissive. So our main character would not have to pay rent, and she just has to, like, set aside an hour of her time every night to do that. And that's a very fun concept, right? Like, I saw the concept, I was like, okay. But again, the writing was not my favorite. This is the type of romance book that I think would have benefited from a dual perspective, because we only had the main character, whose name I cannot remember. It was something hippie-ish, like some nature-y name, I feel like. Phoenix! Her name was Phoenix. So a magical name. Yeah. She's very, like, free-spirited. She does, she does, like, aerial dancing. Is that what it's called? With the cloth, and, like, you swing around and stuff. She does that. And then the woman that she moves in with is a high-powered businesswoman, owns her own business, doesn't, like, mess around with emotions a lot, but because of that, she's super cold and closed off for most of the book. And I think we would have benefited from seeing her perspective, because only seeing the relationship develop from Phoenix's perspective was very jarring. But there was so much of a disconnect between the two characters, and I would have loved to see the other character's point of view. So it was fine. 3 stars. Okay, my final 3-star read of the month was Searcy by Madeline Miller. I just don't think I like Madeline Miller's writing style, because I read Song of Achilles, didn't like that. I was at least more interested in Cersei's story and what Madeline Miller was doing with it. So because of that, this got a higher rating than Song of Achilles, which I only gave 2 stars. But to me, reading her writing is like trying to swim through mud. Like, it's so dense, it's so difficult to read, and nothing happens, really. Like, things happen, but things don't really happen. And I think that's just not my style of book. So if you like a more character-focused book, you would probably give this way more than 3 stars, especially if you like the writing style. But I just don't. Okay, moving on to my 4-star reads really quickly. I'm going to talk about Memento. This is a little prequel for the Illuminae files. I love that it's purple. Purple's my favorite color, in case you couldn't tell by the hair and literally everything about me. This was cute. It was fun. It was good. It was a great introduction to the Illuminae world, and seeing Aiden's backstory, which I know we all love Aiden. This was a pre-order bonus if you pre-ordered Aurora Rising, so if you didn't do that, you cannot get this, and they're not publishing it online, they're not making it an ebook, the publisher's not making it available in any other way. So if you have a friend who has this, hit them up if you want to read it, because you are not going to be able to get it any other way. 4 stars. Very fun, very good. My next 4-star read was The Unnie Mooners by Christina Lauren. This is my first Christina Lauren book, even though I think it's their most recently released. I think another one is coming out like this fall, like in September or October. But The Unnie Mooners came out a few months ago. It was so cute and so fun. It's about, what are their names? Olive. I can't remember the guy's name. It's about this girl and this guy. Everyone except for Olive and the guy eat the seafood buffet at the wedding, and they all get violently ill. Like, so sick. And so the sister's like, hey, you two should take our honeymoon. You can pass as me. I want it in this giveaway. If nobody takes it, it's just going to go to waste. They won't let us reschedule. And Olive is like, okay, it's a Hawaiian resort vacation. Okay. Except she and the guy hate each other. So it's this hate to love romance. It was really cute. I did think that Christina Lauren wrote more steamier books and all the sex scenes were just fade to black. So I was kind of not expecting that. But that's fine. Not every book needs to be super explicit like that. Whatever, I don't care. I thought things got resolved a little bit too quickly, and there were just some things that I didn't totally love, so I only gave it 4 stars, but I still did really love it. It feels like a book that I'll probably reread. I'll definitely reread it because it was really cute. So 4 stars to The Unnie Mooners. My next 4-star read was Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins, which is the second in the Royals series. The first book was Prince Charming, which used to be called Royals, and it had that hideous cover, and then it got repackaged, and now it's beautiful, and everyone loves it. Her Royal Highness was so cute. It's about this girl named Millie who decides she needs a fresh start, so she applies to go to a boarding school in Scotland, and she gets accepted. So she goes there, she moves in, her roommate is Fiona, the Princess of Scotland. And at first, they don't like each other very much. This is another, like, kind of hate to love. They don't like each other very much, and they have some beef until an inciting incident after they start to get to know each other a little bit better, and they realize that they do like each other, and it's a cute little female romance set in Scotland, and it's really fun and really cute, and I liked it a lot. I don't know what else to say other than it was really fun and really cute, and you should read it. My next 4-star read was The Two Princesses of Bamarre by Gail Carson Levine, who is probably best known for writing Ella Enchanted, but this has actually always been my favorite of her books. I just decided to reread it. I loved it when I was a kid. I think I first read it when I was probably 9, 10, 11-ish, like late elementary school. And I wanted to see if it held up. This book is about these 2 princesses who live in this fantasy kingdom where there's this disease called the Black Death. No, it's called the Grey Death, not the Black Death. And Meryl's the older sister, and it has always been her dream to go out and try to find the cure for the Grey Death and adventure and save the world. And Addie is the younger sister, and she is very much afraid of that. She doesn't want to lose Meryl. She's afraid of spiders, heights, monsters, everything. She's afraid of everything. So she doesn't want Meryl to go and try to go on this adventure because she thinks that Meryl will die. But then Meryl actually catches the Grey Death, and it's up to Addie to go on the adventure and try to save her sister. And so this book follows that story. It's this wonderful tale of this relationship between 2 sisters and their sisterly love. And I have a little sister who I would go on a dangerous quest for, so I relate to this hardcore. It's not quite the 5-star that I expected it to be, but that's me holding it to my adult human standards, not like my 10-year-old standards. But I do still really love this book. It's really cute. It's a short, fast read. Like, I will prove to you how much I read this book when I was little. Are you guys ready? The cover is literally not attached. Hello. Like, that's how much I read this book when I was a kid. It's definitely underrated, so if you have read Ella Enchanted and you like it and you like the writing style, I would definitely encourage you to pick this one up because it does not get all the love that it deserves. My next 4-star read was Misadventures of a Curvy Girl by Sierra Simone, which is another book in that Misadventures series, and that's the one that I really liked. I saw who read it. It's probably Chelsea Dolling Reads. I feel like she's probably the one who read it. And it's about this woman named Ireland. Don't know why she has that name. And she's supposed to go out in the country to meet someone for her job. It's not a very good reason for her to just be like out in the middle of nowhere. But she's supposed to meet this guy who's gonna like let her take pictures of his farm or something. So she goes, and her little Prius gets stuck in the mud, and so the guy has to come rescue her, and then some sparks fly, and then his roommate shows up, and some more sparks fly, and then they have a 3-way, and it's awesome. Like, that's the whole premise of the whole book. It's not spoiling anything. It was so good. Like, the actual storyline is a little tenuous. It seems a little like, okay, this is super unrealistic, but it was really cute. It was really fun. I highly recommend it. It was great. Okay, my next 4-star read was I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver. This is about a non-binary teen named Ben who comes out to their parents, and their parents don't love that. So they get kicked out, and they have to meet up with their estranged sister who they haven't seen for a long time, start at a new school, try to make new friends while coming to terms with their identity and the fact that their parents don't accept them. They go to therapy, which is the best part of this whole book. Every single therapy scene, I was like, yeah! Like, maybe having a little romance with this little bean right here. This is an Own Voices book. Mason Deaver is also non-binary, representing kind of what the non-binary experience is like or can be like. And this book was so good. I feel like it's going to be so important. Again, therapy scenes, like, fantastic. The only reason it's 4 stars is because, like, I could definitely tell that it was a debut novel. The writing was super simple, which is just not my personal taste, so 4 stars, but I did still really love it. If you haven't read it already, what are you doing? Go read this book. My next 4-star read this month was As You Wish by Cary Elwes. It's his memoir of the filming of The Princess Bride. If you're unaware, he's the actor who played Wesley, the main male character. And if you haven't already seen my top 10 books of all time, or it wasn't 10, it was like 8 or something, I don't know. It's my top books of all time. I'll link that down below. But spoiler, The Princess Bride is my favorite book. And the movie is one of my favorite movies. And I've been wanting to read this memoir for a very long time. And finally, I listened to the audiobook, which I've also owned for a very long time and just hadn't listened to. But I love hearing Cary Elwes. He sounds exactly the same. It's hilarious to me that his voice is exactly how it was when he was like 20 years old in this movie, and more than 30 years later, he still sounds exactly the same. It's fantastic. There's so many great stories of how the cast and crew bonded and like fun shenanigans that went on set, and it made me feel a little emotional at times because you can tell how much they all care. He did have other people come in and write small pieces from their point of view on set. So we had Mandy Patinkin, we had the director Rob Reiner, Robin Wright, the actress who played Buttercup, had some parts, as well as a ton of other actors, and that was so great to hear them. I just absolutely loved it. So if you care about The Princess Bride at all and you have not read this book, you should read it. It's really good. My final 4-star read of the month was Obsidium by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the 3rd and final book in the Illuminate Files trilogy. I did give the other 2 books 5 stars, and this was only 4 stars. It was still a good, solid conclusion, but I feel like they were trying to do too much in too little of space, like trying to have us care about the characters that were already introduced in the previous books and kind of tying up their storylines while also introducing new characters and trying to have us care about them a lot. And I was like, I don't care about these new people. I only care about the people that I already know, whatever. But it was still really good, a really excellent ending to the series. And now we're moving on to my 5-star reads of the month. I had 3 of them. The first is Fruits Basket Volume 1. I used to love this series when I was a kid. Like middle school, I super had a weeaboo phase, and this was super one of my favorites. And I decided to see if it still held up, kind of like with the Two Princesses of Bamar, and it totally does. I was reading the introduction of this, and I realized that this was first published in Japan 20 years ago, in 1999, and I was like, ugh. Fruits Basket is about this girl, Toru Honda, who, due to circumstances, is living in a tent, and she realizes that she's on the property of the Soma family, and Yuki Soma is in her class at school, and he invites her to just stay with them instead of having her sleep outside in a tent. And then she realizes that 12, or I guess 13 members of this family are cursed, that they will turn into a member of the Zodiac whenever they are hugged by a member of the opposite sex. But, like, so it's a little bit fantastical, but it really is more about found family and relationship developments. And it's so cute and so good. The art is so pretty. I'm so happy that I reread this, and I'm so happy to continue with the series. I never actually finished it, so I don't know what happens at the end. I think there were 23 volumes, and I think I read to like 18 or 19. Like, I was really close to the end, and then I just stopped because I didn't have the money to keep buying these, because middle school me forgot that libraries exist. So I don't know what happens at the end, and I'm finally gonna read all of them and find out what happens. They also did a reboot of the anime, so they did one that was only one season, and it basically didn't get done in like probably 2006. I don't know when they made it, but this year they're coming out with new episodes. That's a reboot, and hopefully they're actually going to finish it. I'm so excited. I haven't started watching it yet. I might like watch it along with while I'm reading, so I might watch the episodes, however many are covered in this first volume, and then go read the second volume, and then watch those episodes, etc. I don't know. I love Fruits Basket. This was always one of my favorites. If you like cute slice of slice of life-ish stories with great relationship developments, if you love the found family trope and you're interested in reading a manga, this is definitely one. If you haven't read it already, which I find unlikely because a lot of people have read Fruits Basket. It's really popular. Okay, I'm gonna stop gushing about this now. My next 5-star read was, of course, Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This book is so good. It's about Alex, the first son of the United States, and Henry, the Prince of Wales. And at first they don't like each other, except then they find out that they do like each other, and they fall in love. This book is so good. Casey McQuiston captures the millennial experience, millennial attitudes so easily. Their emails and texts are exactly how a young 20-something would talk over technology. It's not like an old person trying to write technology, which I really appreciate because Casey McQuiston is like 25 or 26. This is new adult. It's not young adult. There are sexy scenes. So if you are not comfortable reading that and you are under the impression that this is YA, it's not. So just so you're aware. But if you're okay with that, then read Ahoy. It's so good. I definitely did not think this book would be this thick. It's like 450 pages, but it's really good. And my final 5-star read of the month, which I wish I had read before I did my mid-year book freakout tag, because this would have been my favorite book of the year, is Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This is a utopian society where death no longer exists, but you still have to keep the population under control. So there are people called Scythes who are the only people that can actually kill anyone. So you don't die of old age. You can just like make yourself young again. It's really cool. Also kind of terrifying. And this follows 2 characters named Rowan and Citra who are apprentice Scythes. And it brings up a lot of philosophical questions, moral questions, what is the meaning of life type questions. It's really interesting, really good. I was definitely slow to get on this Scythe train because I thought it couldn't possibly be as good as everyone says. And I was wrong. So if you are kind of that same mindset, I encourage you to give this a try because I was extremely pleasantly surprised, and I think you will be too. Okay, so that's my July wrap up. Sorry it's so late and I suck. Oh well, life happens. Let me know what you thought of any of these books, if you've read them already, or if you're excited to read any of them. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. That's what YouTubers say. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.